Morning, folks. Phil Gallagher of Thraben University fame here. I've got a holiday today, so we're going to do a during the day stream. That'll be a little more friendly to some of my European viewers and viewers from other places in the world. And today we're going to be playing some 4-color Loam. As usual, I got a list from Connor Folse, aka Loamer Boy, and I'm pretty excited about this one. It contains 2 cards that I've never played with before. Number 1, Anje's Ravager. It attacks each combat if able. Whenever it attacks, discard your hand and then draw 3 cards. It has Madness as well, so if we manage to somehow discard the card, we can cast it for its Madness cost. I don't foresee that happening, but it can happen with Liliana of the Veil and opposing Thoughtseize, or our own Anje's Ravager trigger from like the second copy of the card. The other new card that I haven't played with before is Sevinne's Reclamation. So it returns a permanent with CMC 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it has flashback. If you flash it back, you get to do it twice, which is pretty sweet, I'm not gonna lie. It's a good value-oriented card. Otherwise, the traditional stuff of 4-color Loam that you would expect is still here. Notably, we do not have access to a Tabernacle in the 75. Our Gaddock Teague is in the sideboard rather than the main deck right now, and we're not playing as many copies of Dark Confidant and Punishing Fire as you might expect. Dark Confidant is kind of medium right now due to the overwhelming presence of Renin 6. And because of permanents like Renin 6 and Oko, you can see a lot of answers to Planeswalkers in the main deck. That's all I've got to say about this one, so let's just kind of jump right into it. Been having a ton of fun playing Legacy. I've had all sorts of awesome deck lists that I've wanted to try out, some of which I haven't gotten to do yet. I got this deck list that I played the other day, which I got a 5-0 with. That one was a lot of fun. Emery is my definition of an acceptable merfolk. I quite like her, question mark? Maybe we'll look at some of the other fun deck lists I've been messing around with later. Ooh, man. I hope we're playing against Splinter Twin. So my opponent got a 5-0 recently with a Splinter Twin deck list that looked pretty cool. We're going to keep this one. We have a reasonable hand. I would like more disruption than what I'm seeing currently. But this is fine. Like, we'll get a turn 2 Chalice into turn 3 Threat, into turn 4 Threat. Drawing Mox Diamond obviously would be absolutely insane. That's actually pretty good as well. I don't have another black producing land yet for this, but Chalice into Lily will be a much stronger play than Chalice into like Knight or Tarmogoyf, because my opponent is going to have tappers in their deck. Okay, one thing I need to check. Is Sejuri's Step only my creatures? Oh, thank you very much for the support. Give me 1 second to check this. 4-color Loam. Oh, never mind. I don't have Sejuri's Step in this one, so we can ignore that question. Alright. I don't have black mana, and I don't have white mana, which means I want to get the scrub land. But this is super awkward. You really don't want to fetch in a way that makes your mana look like this, where a single wasteland effect can take you off of 2 colors simultaneously. That is a very bad position to be in, but I think we're probably going to want both of these colors. Yeah, so Careta Faracao, thank you very much for your continued support. I really do appreciate it. Alright, so that Teferi might just bounce my Chalice for tempo reasons. Yes. So I need to make a choice here between starting to make this Liliana of the Veil work or putting something onto the board that can pressure the Teferi. I feel like my Liliana is better than their Teferi. And putting things into the graveyard right now is actively good for me for both Knight of the Reliquary and Tarmogoyf reasons, as well as the flashback on Sevinne's Reclamation. So I think I'm going to go ahead and jam the Lily. If my opponent is indeed playing a Splinter Twin deck, which we see that they are, and I don't start attacking their hand, I feel like I'm going to lose out as the game goes long. The other thing I'm potentially worried about is that if I just play out a creature trying to attack this down and kill it immediately, I may just run into a tapper. Oh. Alright, so my opponent is on blue, white, red, Splinter Twin. Presumably there's going to be like Arkham's Astrolabe in there or something like that. I think I like Chalice and Tarmogoyf here, rather than single spell that matters plus Wasteland. I'd rather save this Wasteland for a colored spell. Or sorry, I'd rather save the Wasteland for a red source to prevent just immediate death to a Splinter Twin. All right. Another Teferi. So notably, my opponent did plus, so they can still play things out at instant speed. I don't really know that Swords of Plowshares needs to happen at sorcery speed like that. This decay is quite strong. I don't think I need to use it yet. The Teferi's not getting any value on the next turn. I think I'd rather probably just play out Chalice again and Knight. My opponent's gotten good value out of their Teferis. They've drawn a few cards with them. One thing I don't like about the current situation is that my knight is a 3/3. It theoretically is exposed to lightning bolt, but we have that potentially covered. We'll kind of see how things go. So we're going to try to kill the Teferi. I expect something will go wrong. We'll see what, if anything. I'm kind of expecting this to get tapped out. No? Alright. Let's attack Teferi. Alright. So I want to leave up Abrupt Decay mana at this point. And since I only have a single green source, I can't do that. Without shutting down the Abrupt Decay, so I'm just going to go ahead and pass. I lose out on some tempo by being scared, but I think I'm pretty far ahead right now. Alright, pretty happy about that. So now I can play another threat, plus still hold up Abrupt Decay. I'm debating how big I want these knights to be. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4. No. I'm going to play conservatively and just take an attack here. Wait, hold on. Can I make this work? So, white. No, it needs to be this. So I can cast this for X equals 3, get a new knight while also holding up Abrupt Decay. Or no, this way will also do it. Because I have black, green, this way. White, green, 1. I still have Abrupt Decay up, and I still have a Wasteland up. Yeah, totally fine with trading for a Force of Will here. No qualms with that. That's a slightly awkward draw right now since I'm trying to sandbag this decay. I think I'll just Green Sun for a secondary knight. Thank you. So I've got a holiday here, and I'm looking forward to that. I mean, it's happening right now, obviously, so things are good here. I like getting to do these daytime streams. Dingaling and Laugh Side, thank you very much for following. I hope you're enjoying the legacy content here. All right, we can make some real big knights this turn. Real big. So I could put 6 lands into the graveyard and represent lethal right here. Is that something that I want to do? My opponent can have Swords of Plowshare, so they can grow these knights very quickly. So every one of my lands I get rid of is 2 additional damage. So I can go 6, 8, 10. So I think what I'm going to do is Wasteland them once. I recorded a set of daily D&T videos this week that does play a whole bunch of mobs. All right, so this is 10 damage. So I can hold up Abrupt Decay with any number of these. I think I'm going to stop giving my opponent life and do this. Yeah, so the match that's going up Tuesday is one of the best matches that I've played in the past year. I had an absolutely crazy, crazy battle versus lands. Okay, so we're playing against Splinter Twin. So instant speed interaction is great. I will consider Thalia. I don't know that I'm actually going to board it in. I think this is risky. I think the Planeswalkers are fine. I think the Plague Engineers are respectable as well. Oh, the lands matchup is absolutely just crazy insane. All right, I don't really think I want Maze of Ith. I don't think that's the right sort of matchup for this one. I don't really know what to relate this to in terms of sideboarding. This isn't a matchup that I really have experience to speak of. So my Scavenging Ooze is probably pretty bad. Let's get that out of here. I can probably trim... I was going to say trim Life from Loam, but I don't actually have that. I can probably trim a Wasteland. I would normally trim an Ooze, or a Knight, and I think I'll still do that. Maybe Plague Engineer isn't good enough. Like, it can stop the Pestermites forever, which is cool. This whole Source to Plowshare's Chalice thing is going to be awkward, too, but I think I'm just going to accept that. I think I'm going to junk my Green Sun since I, like, physically don't have that many targets. And maybe I'll junk a Ravager. Since I'm going to be... Maybe I should junk both Ravagers, actually, since I'm going to be trying to hold Disruption in my hand. Teague does stop Twin. But I'm kind of curious if I'm just supposed to fight on the creature axis and not on the, like, Twin itself axis. I'm like, legitimately not 100% sure there. Alright, so our opening hand is a little soft, I'm not going to lie to you. We have a handful of hate cards, but having a single mana producing land in the... Sorry, having monocolored lands in the opener of this deck is kind of medium, since your costs are so varied. This certainly isn't a bad hand, but I think I'm going to need to lead on Karakas, which means I won't be able to Abrupt Decay on 2 if for some reason I need to do that. So I can save this Verdant Catacombs for as long as possible and see what I need to be fetching with it. As of right now, the answer is Bayou, but that could change depending on what I draw. If I have a Wasteland as my draw, I might just snap it off on that Volcanic Island. And Morelli, good morning to you as well. Hope you're enjoying your day. I've gotten a little time off of work. And so, of course, I'm going to play some Magic. Yeah, that's a little awkward in terms of mana costs right now, but, you know, it is what it is. Single red? Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, with the number of basics that I saw in that deck, I was kind of expecting to see that. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get Bayou here. And play towards being able to do something with the Lily next turn. And so that we can play towards Lily next turn, we're not just jamming Thalia here. That's an Art of Brainstorm you don't see very often. So Lily next turn is fine. Holding up Abrupt Decay... Well, Lily next turn would be good. Just holding up Abrupt Decay and passing the turn would be okay. Playing Thalia would be okay. Rest in peace. Okay. Don't actually care very much about that right now. I don't have a lot of graveyard synergy at this moment. So if you look at my hand, it's entirely non-creature spells outside of this Thalia right now. So this is going to be a little sketchy. I cast this Thalia. If it resolves, I'll Wasteland this. I played out the Wasteland first to play around Daze in case that's something that I need to do. The hope here is that what I'm doing cripples my opponent more than it cripples me. Note, I have not actually shut them off of colors because of this thing. But if they miss a land drop, I would be real tempted to just Abrupt Decay the Astrolabe right here. Because that will take them off of both blue and white, and I know they've missed a land drop. I think that is better than playing out a knight here. I'm going to do it on their turn to see if they like brainstorm at my end step. Not usually a winning play, that line. Let's see if they draw a land for turn and make me look real silly. They did. I don't regret it, because that was potentially a game-winning level of play. No, we can get real got by a Deceiver Exarch being flashed in. Yeah, there we go. Yep. So now they'll block, and I'll need to bounce my Thalia. So if they have the combo, they just get me here. But they would need to have hit a land off the top of their library. Because we know that their draw for last turn was the fetch land they used to get this Tundra. Alright, what am I doing with my life? Thalia making Splinter Twin cost 1 more is super relevant right now. So I think it's that. I'm not sure what this is. Destroy target artifact. Okay, sure. We have another one of those, and that'll be my play next turn. Presumably, this will let my opponent just take the Thalia off of the board if they need to do that. So now the question I ask myself is, do I want to cut them off of cantrips, or do I want to keep them from casting a Splinter Twin if they have one in hand? Because I cannot do both this turn. I don't think they have a Brainstorm, or they would have tapped differently. I don't think they have any sort of like Pierce or Snare effect, so whatever I do probably resolves. If I don't play Thalia, and they have Splinter Twin, I'll lose on the spot. But if they have a handful of cantrips, no, they don't. They probably don't have a handful of cantrips, because otherwise they would have like tapped Tundra and Mountain to source the Plowshares, and then would have like pondered. So accordingly, I'm going to think that Thalia is my better line. Good morning. So if my opponent has like another Lightning Bolt or Source of Plowshares effect, they will just get my Thalia, and I'm slightly punished for not choosing the other line. But this line keeps me from being dead this turn, unless my opponent top decks yet another land. Okay. That's awkward, but fine. Again, would love, love, love to draw a black source for this Lily. Alright, so either way I made a play. The Astrolabe, sure. Not being able to jam this here is rough. But again, sometimes you walk into these spots with 4-color Loam where you trip over your own mana a little bit. It wouldn't have been a problem if we had the Wrenn and 6 active, but the Rest in Peace on the other side of the table was a little bit rough. Alright, do I want to make any changes based on the previous game? I'm slightly more inclined to bring some of these in and trim a little bit of the graveyard-based stuff now, given what I've seen. So I could like trim a Renin 6 and maybe a Punishing Fire. So I think my opponent is going to lean on Deceiver Exarch over Pestermite anyway. Mind Sculptor 007, thank you very much for following. I hope you're enjoying the content. The other thing I could do is play Green Sun and Teague over these. I don't know that I want to play Teague in addition to these two cards due to the potential awkwardness that's there. Like, Teague is only good against Twin. That is the primary win condition of the deck, to be fair. But they have assorted bounce spells, so just a fairy to take it off the table. They have bolts, Swords to Plowshares, that sort of stuff. I think I'm going to try it like this. Maybe we'll get a Mox Diamond opener and do something disgusting. Nope. But what do I think of this hand? It is going to be a keep. I'll curve Thalia into Plague Engineer. I'll probably fetch Bayou. I'll probably fetch Bayou turn 1, cycle Barrenmoor. And be okay not having black if I happen to draw a Lily. But I think it's probably correct to cycle that land. The other thing I could do is just like play tap Barrenmoor on turn 1. I don't really think tapped Barrenmoor on turn 1 is a bad play, to be fair. Wah, that's not great for me. Right, but now we have another black source. So life's good. So Deceiver Exarch is a cleric. What is Pestermite? I think it's a fairy rogue. It is a fairy rogue. Let's put this one in play. And slam this. So putting this on Cleric means that Deceiver Exarch will be a 0/3, so that my Thalia can safely attack into it. Alright, that didn't last long, but the Tarmogoyf is starting to get big. So that's good news. The bad news is I don't really have gas left in hand. Like, the Tarmogoyf is great and all, but I'm not going to be able to even use all of my mana next turn. So I will be scared. That, though, is quite good. It's super awkward about whether I want to do something pre-combat or not. Like, if they have an Exarch and I go, like, attack with Thalia and then Lily, things are super awkward. So I think, like, I just don't want to get that Bayou tap down and lose Thalia mid-combat. Scrubland? Probably Scrubland here. Let's both discard. Taiga and Dryad Arbor are both really bad. I think I'm going to get rid of my Taiga, though. And I am not going to attack with Thalia. I just really don't want to get got by Deceiver Exarch mid-combat. My opponent valued removing the Plague Engineer over the Thalia, which makes me think they have one. And Anje's Ravager would be a pretty hot draw right now. As would something like Abrupt Decay, Wasteland, Knight of the Reliquary. My opponent has voted for Thalia, not Lily. That makes me think they have combo pieces good to go in hand. Lol, 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 lol. Oh, that is a back-breaking draw for me. So my opponent expended all of their resources doing that. I get to go Hellbent and then force them to discard a card as well. That's very strong. So Liliana is no longer a symmetrical effect here. I have 7 power on board. Plus, now that my Liliana is at a decently high amount of loyalty, I can attack in with all of my stuff, and if my opponent plays a Deceiver Exarch or equivalent during combat, I can just kill it post-combat with an Edict effect. So I'm feeling pretty good about life. We can potentially kill our opponents in 2 turns with another top deck creature. Oh, good lord. Okay. So we'll send everything in. Unfortunately, we can't, like, get 2 cards out of my opponent's hands with this sequence. So if my opponent has Splinter Twin, Duder, and 1 other bonus card, they do just win the game here. So if they have the twin, they get me. Sure seems like they have it. Good game. Super happy we got to play against that this morning. DJ Zima, or DJ Isma, however we say that, was posting on Reddit about the list. They got a 5-0 with it, but it didn't end up being enough cards different from some random, like, blue-white-red control deck to actually be posted. I don't know that I'd go so far to say that it's the real deal, but it's probably better than not playable, based on what we saw there, right? Like, we had very good hands versus our opponent, right? Like, I think my opponent went through, like, a Chalice, 2 Thalias, a Plague Engineer that game, 1 through a Lily. Like, they did a lot. So the deck has at least some amount of play to it. Similarly, like, totally happy with this deck list so far. Like, I'm not going to say that I necessarily sideboarded optimally, you know. I don't have reps in this Splinter Twin matchup, but the core of what we've got going on here feels good. We stumbled a little bit due to the rest in peace in game 2, and also over colored mana a little bit in game 1 as well. But happy with the core of what we've got going on. No regrets about the losses here. And I have been paired. Let's see what we've got going on. Maybe. Yo, this hand is sweet. We're going to bully the ever-loving crap out of a fair deck. Oh, you want to Thoughtseize me, do you? That's fine. You'll take my Wrenn and 6, and then I'll play a turn 1 Anje's Ravager and start refueling. I am A-okay with this situation. Actually, in fact, I think you're probably supposed to take the Anje's Ravager over the Wrenn and 6, as crazy as that sounds. Well, if this Swamp Thoughtseize is indicative of something like Depths, though, then maybe you have to take the Wrenn and 6 out of Fear of Wasteland. If we had some mana, we could have done something sweet there. Alright. So we'll cast a Mox Diamond. We'll junk the Caracas. We'll cast a Mox Diamond. We'll junk the Savannah. We'll cast the Wrenn and 6. We'll plus it. We'll get back the Caracas in case my opponent is on a depth space strategy. I don't think we need a mana acceleration here. We'll use the Green Sun to get something big and fat next turn. So we'll play out Verdant Catacombs and pass. There's a world where I might just fetch a Dryad Arbor here. Unsure. Alright, so my opponent is on some sort of either control deck or Ant. I'm going to lean towards Ant. Our Teague is in the sideboard. So we don't have that as just like a freebie win for game 1. We can get a Scavenging Ooze off of it, or get a Knight off of it, and get some degree of graveyard-based interaction. And it's super disappointing to have such a degenerate start like this and not get to play it out versus a fair deck. Just 4 mana? Empty? Friend, I don't know that that is going to be enough goblins. Okay. So we're going to green sun for x equals 2. That is going to get us a Scavenging Ooze. We're going to plus on this Savannah so that we can get another green source without losing any life. Oh, right. This is just turn 2. Alright, so now we'll pass the turn. I guess I should have Wrenn and 6 pinged a Goblin. I had it in my mind that I could play another land there. My double Mox Diamond thing threw me off. So we'll see where all these goblins are going. Alright, so 3 are attacking me, 7 are attacking Wrenn and 6. So my Wrenn and 6 will die. So let's just protect my life total instead. So we'll see whether or not having this extra Savannah ends up being important this game. But we have the goblins beat as of right now. So like my opponent can hit for 6, 5, 4. Sorry, 6, 4. Well, I guess I don't need to eat yet. Nice. The next question becomes, what am I putting this chalice on? 1 is good to stop cantrips. 2 is great to stop infernal tutors and cabal rituals. I think stopping the cantrips is probably pretty important. Let's do that. Alright, so I have Bojuka Bog as a sweet target. Do I have anything else that's super relevant? Probably my Maze of Ith will be my next get. Where'd you go? Here you are. Maze of Ith, that goblin token. So now at the end step, we'll start eating the goodies out of the graveyard. So, in case you haven't played with this deck much, there's a real good trick where you attack with Knight of the Reliquary, and then at the end of combat, after your combat damage has been dealt, you use Maze of It to untap it so that you can then activate it again a little bit later. So we have our opponent's graveyard, relatively speaking, on lockdown. So we'll just grow our knight bigger and bigger here. It's possible that I should just get a wasteland and wasteland my opponent. I think I am going to do that. And note, even though most of what my opponent has going on in their graveyard is not, like, literally at all relevant to this game, we want to continue to trim their graveyard just in case, and in respect of the threshold for Cabal Ritual in particular. This isn't bad. I can potentially use that to actually destroy one of their lands. I'm not sure if they're going to be on a 2 or 3 basic land build. It's usually 3. So I might end up firing that off on a goblin instead. The other thing I'll need to think about is whether or not I'm willing to attack with the Scavenging Ooze this turn. I think I am. I think my opponent can't attack with the goblins anymore. So, for the sake of mana efficiency, we're going to do the awkward thing of destroying a goblin token, so we can get in a couple extra points of damage here. We're representing 10 damage with this attack, which will probably shut off any sort of ad nauseum route. Okay, yeah, my opponent did have another land. Alright. My opponent very, 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 very much facing down lethal next turn. I have a Chalice in play. I'm going to have Bojuka Bog at the ready. I'm going to be able to eat a bunch of stuff out of the graveyard. Like, I've got most of the bases covered here. I think it's safe to play another knight as well, as long as I leave up at least one of the Mox Diamonds for green mana. Since Knight can already get me Bog, I have the graveyard very much covered. All right, we kind of stole that one. We did get to play out that double Mox Diamond opener, which I wasn't necessarily sure that we were going to get to do, so that makes me happy. All right, Thalia in, Ley Lines in. We'll probably play Plague Engineer for Goblin, even though I don't necessarily expect my opponent to want to do that again. It's something that I need to keep in mind. And we'll also play Gaddock Teague, because that is such a great, great, great way to just shut off their game plan. So, Punishing Fires are pretty bad. Let's get those out of there. Maze is normally not going to be good, although it did work that game. Similarly, you're not really going to do anything with a Blast Zone. Wrenn and 6 is really slow. Loam's bad. Decay's not great either. This is probably good enough to bring back hate cards after Abrupt Decay, so I might actually keep that in. Assassin's Trophy is largely going to be worse than Abrupt Decay, and Abrupt Decay is already pretty bad. We're probably going to keep some of them around. Just because, like, you can occasionally disrupt Lion's Eye Diamond if your opponent doesn't have tight timing, or if they play out some artifact mana, you can do something with it. But I don't really like these decays. Goyf is better than Decay IMO? Yeah, I'll buy that. You don't necessarily look to be bringing in Tarmogoyf versus Ant, but like the decays are pretty soft. So I do like making that exchange. So Ant is a deck that doesn't want to be playing against these Chalice decks. So I feel pretty good as a whole about what we've got going on. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Triple Chalice of the Void in the opener. We're gonna snap that one off. So we'll get a Chalice on 0 followed by a Chalice on 1 that will beat out discard. Note, one of two things just happened. Against Chalice decks, you're usually supposed to go ahead and play out your artifact mana on turn 1 if you're on the play, because it lets you go and avoid this exact scenario. So either my opponent is inexperienced and didn't do that, or they don't really have artifact mana in their hand at this time. I don't know which that is right now. But those are the worlds that I think we're living in right now. Oh, my opponent does not have more lands. That is going to make everything that I have going on here very strong. So against something like Ant, where they can't disrupt your lands, it's a little safer to do something like this. All right, yeah, and we take the match there pretty easily. Opponent got Brainstorm locked for a turn and then had to use their following turn to ponder Shuffle. They got a little unlucky in not finding their second land, but my opener was pretty insane. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of people right now talking about how dominant Ant is and how great of results it's putting up. Like, if you want to beat Ant, just play Chalice decks. Like, that is the formula. A lot of times when Cyrus is talking about his results, he talks about how he's X-Chalice at events, where he lost the rounds to the Chalice decks with a lot of disruption, and he just bullied everything else. By the way, if you didn't watch Cyrus's match from the Legacy Premier League next week, I would put that at the absolute top of your queue. Cyrus had like these galaxy brain plays that just absolutely blew me away. And like I've played a decent amount of Ant. I know what's going on with those decks, but just watching the way he navigated through those games, it was nuts. This one gets a nope from me. Like, I know we have 2 lands, but we can't cast Wrenn 6 with either of the lands we have, and we can't cast any of the spells in our hand except for Chalice of the Void. This is just not going to do anything. So we're going to ship this one. This one's also really awkward, but I don't know that I want to go to 5 here. We're going to keep this and ship away the Assassin's Trophy. Hope that this Chalice on turn 2 buys me enough time to do whatever it is I need to do to win. I'm just going to pass the turn and hope that my opponent isn't Ant. I don't think I want to play off the Chalice on 0 not knowing the matchup. Yep, very glad I didn't play out the Chalice on 0. I think it's actually close between playing Chalice and Ooze here. Chalice is obviously the higher upside spell, but I don't know that I want to run it into the first piece of disruption that my opponent has. But Ooze gets so much better as the game goes on. I will just ram the Chalice out there. Let's take a high upside play. They've got to have something. But, you know, this Ooze will be much better on turn 6 than it is on turn 2. So we're potentially playing either against 4-color Control or 4-color Delver. So this Chalice is probably just getting decayed. Probably 4-color Delver. Connor sent me a pretty sweet list. The main deck looks like this, where it's got like Okos, Goyfs, Wrenn 6, Hex Drinkers. So we might be looking at something kind of like that. Oh, maybe it is 4-color Control now that we're seeing the basics. Yeah, I don't care too much about that. Elf? 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 Is this a troll? Like, I appreciate it if it's a troll. I have no elves. I don't know what my opponent is thinking. They meant to type elk. That actually makes a lot of sense. My hand's super awkward right now. I kind of want to wasteland my opponent off of blue. But maybe that's a trap, because they got basic Swamp off of Prismatic Vista. Like, playing a 2/2 knight doesn't do anything right now. This Plague Engineer will trade with it in combat. I can't Abrupt Decay it yet. So I think I want to try to buy myself some time. I don't love this Wasteland, but I think it's happening. And if my opponent did mean to type Elk, then potentially keeping them off of Oko is cool. But I really feel like they're going to have another land. Otherwise, fetching that basic does not make sense to me. Yep. I don't know that I like that Brainstorm. Like, you have plenty of cards in hand. You're not under pressure. It feels like you can wait. Unless you're specifically looking for, like, Hymn to Turok. My opponent's willing to make that trade. Am I willing to make that trade? I don't have mana to sink into the Scavenging Ooze right now, so I think I'd rather trade this, make this trade, than trade it for a knight later on. Oh, thank you, deck. It's not the perfect land. That would have been like Badlands, but it's pretty good. If I can get my Wrenn and 6 in play and start, like, wastelanding my opponent down even more resources, I'll be super happy. Cool, you'll just grow my knight. It's bigger. My mana's so beyond awkward right now. And I also can't activate this Knight of the Reliquary. I don't have a forest or plains to sacrifice. Alright, Badlands is strong. Do I want to do it post-combat? Yes. I don't really think this is going to resolve. My opponent hasn't been playing to the board, so if we think about what sort of things they have to have, it probably means counter magic. Yeah, we can't really beat things right now. The knights are not good. At least we have a forest that we can sacrifice now, so we've got that going for us. Well, that really sucks. My opponent had that. They definitely should have done it on their turn. Because now I'm going to get to do this and bail myself out of this really bad situation. If I had Sajiri's Step here, like, my god, that would be so sick. I don't. But if I did, oh boy. So we have a big boy knight. We have a Renin 6. Life's pretty okay. Opponent still has 3 cards. Opponent is at 3 life. Let's untap our big knight boy here. Let's try Renin 6 again while leaving up Abrupt Decay. And if it works, we'll Wasteland our opponent. Force pitching Oko. Getting rid of that Trop was sick. Jace the Mind Sculptor is a nuisance. That doesn't get answered by Abrupt Decay. Can't really stop it with Knight either. I could get Blast Zone to work towards getting rid of it in that capacity, but I think I just want to thin my deck, get another fetch, and recast the Knight. Sick! And that's resolving. Opponent only has 1 card left. We'll redeploy the Knight next turn. Oh, fuck! They're at 2! They're at 2! I'm so dumb! Yeah, I deserve that. I deserve that. I'm still obviously super favored, but I could have just won the game, so that feels pretty darn bad. Well, that was a pretty sweet last card. It's alright. This Snapcaster does literally nothing. It doesn't beat out the Maze of It that's on board. I don't even need to bother to remove it. Do I just take the value of the minus here and expose it to a lightning bolt effect? Or do I just like decay the Snapcaster and start flossing away, eating away at whatever resources my opponent has left? I think it's close. My sequencing was poor there because I didn't play around something like a Brazen Borrower doing things the way that I did. I changed my mind midway through about what I was going to do. Alright, now we should be pretty much donezo here. I just took like another 2 minutes off of my clock. CC, BD, JC, thank you very much for throwing your Twitch Prime money this way this month. I really do appreciate it. And good morning to you as well. Alright, so we are playing against a control deck. So we'll probably want Planeswalkers in, Marchesa in, Tarmogoyf is a maybe, Plague Engineer is a maybe. So we'll probably want to trim a couple of knights. They're not going to be fantastic here. Probably get rid of my Green Sun. I don't think I'm going to go ley line levels of deep here. Thalia's okay. So I think Thalia, Tarmogoyf, Plague Engineer are all okay. But I think most of the time I'm going to be looking to grind my opponent out with Planeswalkers, and then in some capacity reducing their life total to 0 once I have the game locked up. I could trim some chalices. I think they're just okay. The issue is that some of the stuff that I would want to bring in is just going to be bad against Plague Engineer. I think on the draw, I'm not going to play my Thalias. When I'm on the play, I might, though. This hand has, like, literally all of my best cards in the matchup. So, like, I have an answer to Oko or Jace. I have a source of card advantage. I have a second source of card advantage. I have another hard to deal with win condition. I'm short on mana here. But I think if I miss a couple of land drops, it's not going to be the end of the world. Because this hand is so powerful. And if I hit a turn 1 land, this hand is just bonkers good. Leading like turn 1 Chalice into turn 2 Bob would be incredible. I think the upside of this hand is worth taking risks for. If I were the opponent here, I think Bob's the best card in my hand. But I obviously don't know their side. Like, if they can answer Bob easily, it might be something like Chalice. They've taken Assassin's Trophy. Mox Diamond, like, I think literally the worst draw in the deck there, but that's okay. Note, we are going to play Verdant Catacombs, not a Mox Diamond here, because we don't want to expose our mana sources to an Abrupt Decay. So similarly, I'm not going to Mox Diamond right now. I'm just going to Chalice of the Void off the lands. We can't really play Bob into Wrenn and 6, and that's why there aren't 4 Bobs in this deck right now anyway. Okay. So we're going to have to make a choice here, since I'm not willing to play out the Mox Diamond. Our mana will be slightly awkward. I don't think I'm going to play around Wasteland. I don't think that's a luxury that I'm going to have right now. I think I'm going to keep myself off of... I need white for both of my Haymaker cards in hand. So definitely noticeably behind right now, but we're still playing Magic. I've set myself up so that if I draw an Abrupt Decay, I can Abrupt Decay this Wrenn and 6 and then put my Bob in play. You're gonna Snapcaster Thoughtseize when I have Chalice in play. I don't get to talk because I Punishing Fired your Jace instead of your face when you were at 2. But I'm just saying, I don't think that line was optimal. This turn, I think I'm just going to pass the turn. So that next turn, if I draw a land, I can Mox Diamond one of these lands away, and then play either Marchesa or Ajani, depending on what the board's looking like. If I can become the Monarch, these Mox Diamonds will become noticeably better. So now my opponent has the sweet, sweet engine of Jace, Brainstorm, plus Wrenn and 6, shuffle it away. So my opponent has a ton of card advantage. Oh man, opponent, thank you for not playing around Marchesa. But it's a shame that I couldn't actually take advantage of that. But as long as my opponent doesn't start Fate Sealing, the same line will be available to me a little bit later. As soon as they +1 once, though, life is much worse for me. Okay, we're basically done here now. I've lost my Assassin's Trophy. My opponent has 10 cards in hand. They'll go down to 8 cards in hand, play a land. I don't know that this one's going to be worth continuing on here. Let the record show I still do not regret the keep. So I'm going to consider my Thalios now. But so many of my good cards are going to be non-creature spells that I think it's going to make me trip over myself just as much. I think I like my configuration. Yeah, I mean, come on. If you have Jace, Oko, and Jace in play, it's just like the Super Friends. And one of the most ridiculous Super Friends brews ever. Okay. I thought I boarded out Maze of Ith. I mean, obviously I didn't. I was pretty sure I did. That would have been a mulligan regardless. This one will be a keep. There is definite awkwardness here, though. I really need my turn 2 Sylvan Library to resolve. Like, super awkward if it doesn't. I don't think this is a Wasteland hand. We're going to send that back. We're going to play my Tranquil Thicket tapped. We get Thought Seized and lose the library, this hand does nothing. No, we have been on the wrong side of mana variance tonight by quite a bit. So, 4-color Loam's mana isn't actually that bad, but we've had a lot of games where we have needed all 4 colors relatively quickly, and because we've been landlight, we've been forced to do things like have Grove plus Scrubland that's led to a ton of awkwardness. Oh, go on. I'm not going to do a second deck today, but I don't have something planned for Saturday yet, and I haven't locked in my Legacy Premier League list yet either. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. This is hot. Check this out, chat. Oko, Karn, Renin 6, Mox Diamond Bridge, Trinisphere Chalice, Library, Interplanar Beacon for Planeswalker mana. Oh, this is beautiful. 100% need to play that on Saturday. We're bookmarking that right now. I'm a simple man. I see a chalice, and I cast it. Yeah, I know. This deck is like chef's kiss. I don't even care if it's good. It has all the cards that I like to play with. All right, super happy to not get Thoughtseized here. This is a great draw with this hand. All right, the library resolved. Super stoked about that. My opponent does have Abrupt Decay, though, so they could decay here, even though they have this mana. Nope, just a Red and 6. That's fine. I'm going to hope to find a black source so I can just, like, decay that on my turn. That is a black source. This Wasteland can go back. And I'm going to pay 4 life for this, because I do want to cast this turn. Even though it's not necessarily the most stellar thing in the world from my side of the table right now. Because it's good enough for a Force of Will from my opponent. Now we'll play a tap Baron more. We can answer the Wrenn and 6 next turn. Or if my opponent plays something like Oko that's scarier, we'll answer that instead. Yeah, I don't care about the Tarmogoyf very much right now. Put that on top of library. Honestly, I like both of these enough that I think I'm willing to just take them here. It's possible I should just leave the Verdant on top of the library and not pay life for it. So I can go Assassin's Trophy this, Maze of Ith, the Tarmogoyf for my turn. But I think I need to keep building mana. And just answer the... No, I can still answer the Goyf with Lily next turn if I do this. I think I'm going to use my Life Tool as a resource here and just take these so I can look a little deeper next turn. This card's obnoxious sometimes. So we're in pretty big trouble if my opponent plays Oko or Jace here. Fuck. Thank you for taking out the Maze of Ith instead of going after my mana. I really do appreciate that. Also, thank you for playing your Brainstorm after a Wasteland, so that you potentially Brainstorm lock yourself. I appreciate that too. Given me the small edges here. Yes, being wasted out by 4-color control when they have 3 basics around. Alright, these are great cards, but maybe not right now. Wasteland can go back. I'm going to put this Lily on top. I'm going to shuffle it away. Please don't have Snapcaster Mage. Great. I mean, library's done its job. It's drawn me like 3 cards. It's given me a lot of selection. Not perfect selection, but it's helped a lot. we're going to have the Anje's Ravager Liliana the Veil combo on deck. Oko. Smells like Oko. Maybe not. Opponent having some difficulty paying for their spell. We have a Blood Braid Elf in there or something? What's going on? Kess? Alright, return Tarmogoyf. Destroy that. Goblin Lackey, I'm thinking about it. Marantil, thank you very much for following, as well as Hirorima726 and Guy on the Couch 87. Thank you very much for your support. I hope you're enjoying the content. So, if I chalice on 2, I'm shutting off a decent number of my cards, which I do not like. Like, it shuts off my out of, like, Ren and 6 to get back my Maze of Ith. I don't know that I can afford to chalice on 2. But Anje's Ravager matches up poorly against Tarmogoyf. Alright. Mutually Assured Destruction. Let's do it. I don't have any 2-drops in hand right now. Let's see what we can do with this. The Brainstorm's unfortunate. It means my opponent could potentially just shuffle away the Tarmogoyf. I'd actually be ecstatic to have this countered. Yeah, exactly. If my opponent Force-of-Wills this, like, that is so good for me. I'm really just hoping to make a connection with the Ravager. These wastelands are obnoxious. Also, well, this is going to be insane if I draw a white source. All right. That's not bad. Right? That mistake's not gonna matter because I'm just dead anyway. But this deck is obnoxious to play against. Yeah, I gotta tighten up a little bit. It's not a mistake that mattered given that I was dead anyway, but it could have, you know, if I drew a white source there and maybe 10 turns down the line, I'm still in the game somehow. Like, maybe all that stuff matters. I'll be keeping my hand. We have a decent start. It's not exciting, but we have some good cards. Potentially great cards depending on the matchup. We have Wasteland and a Wasteland Machine. So we're sitting pretty. This Chalice of the Void is basically a dead card in this matchup at this point. I may end up casting it on 1 because it does have some text. No, I don't want to fetch a swamp and cycle that land, I don't think. I think I just want to play a land and have them wasted. If I go for a Verdant Catacombs line, it can let me dump the Bob into play, though. I may just end up doing that. So there's incentivizing them to wasteland me is actually fine because I only care about them if they acquire a critical mass of lands. I don't think I want basic... I don't think I want basic swamp here. So I don't think I want to cycle the Baron more. I think I just want to move to my turn. Alright, well now I can play around their wasteland. If I so choose. I don't think I will so choose, because I'm going to save this to have a white source next turn. I think we're just going to play into Wasteland. We're going to grab a Bayou here. Why are you doing that now? Like, of course I'm going to add mana with it. Like, I planned on that. No, my opponent can have something like, what is it? Is it Spatial Contortion? There's like Spatial Contortion and Warping Whale that my opponent could have that could, like, blow up this Bob. So it's pretty clear to me that my opponent doesn't really have 1-drops as of right now. So I don't think casting a Chalice on 1 really does a lot. I think I'll just play a tapped... I can also just cycle Baron more and try to find a Mox Diamond, which would be cool. But I think I just want to guarantee that I can cast Knight next turn. So we'll play this tapped and crash in for 2. My opponent is starting to get to worrying amounts of mana. So I'd really like to be able to wasteland my opponent in my next turn if possible. This just searches for a land, right? Yeah. I'm on the wrong side of the mana denial train right now. My opponent's probably going to get either an Eye or a Cloud Post here. I think Cloud Post? Yeah, effectively Cloud Post. Well, we can bounce the Golos. So that's cool. I should have just played Caracas. I messed this up. Now I'm not going to have red. This is a punt on my end. It's not like 100% a punt because it does grow my knight up to 6 toughness, which may stop a dismember from killing it. Yeah, that's why I did what I did. It does let it block a Reality Smasher. Yeah, there we go. It's gonna all his dust me. Yep. And now not having access to the red is super relevant because playing Anje's Ravager to try to refresh my hand into cards that matters is pretty important. I mean, yes, I will cycle that. Running 6. Oh man, if I had red mana, I could start recurring my Wasteland. That punt from the previous turn is so bad. So bad. Yeah, so I'm just dead to Lattice Lock here, right? Alright, we weren't going to beat that anyway, but I messed up that game. Alright. Chalice of the Void, you're getting right out of the deck. Teague, get in. Marchesa, you're in. Probably not Plague Engineer. Probably still Swords to Plowshares. Maybe Thalia. Punishing Fire as a whole is not going to be great. It can pressure Planeswalkers, but I'm hoping to do that with creatures instead. And this is just not going to interact meaningfully with their creatures. So this would be 61 as is. think Scavenging Ooze and Library are also pretty medium. I could also see cutting a Thicket. I think I'm going to go with Ooze, though. We're so close. This would be a pretty good 6-card hand. I think I'm going to junk this one. I think like a Wrenn and 6 hand that can potentially Wasteland is going to be stronger than this, yeah. So let's keep this. We'll pitch the Grove away. Hit done. And I think I will go for the mana acceleration of a turn 1 Green Sun. It's not the best, and I should potentially convert this into a Knight a little bit later on. But this is going to allow me to do the highest possible upside play, which is draw Wasteland, Wrenn and 6, return Wasteland. Alright, so that line has been eliminated, but we can potentially Blast Zone away the Pithing Needle in a couple of turns. So I think that's fine. Is Library or Wrenn and 6 stronger here? I think Library is. So I want white mana. I can't get Scrubland due to using Wooded Foothills, so I guess I'm going to take Savannah. Alright, my opponent doesn't have another play. That's cool for me. The Wasteland is an awesome draw. Or sorry, the Abrupt Decay is an awesome draw because it's going to turn on Wasteland a little bit later. Alright, so let's put back Wrenn and 6. We don't need a second one of those, and I will pay 4 life to keep this. So let's go Wrenn and 6. We'll plus this, get back our fetch. I don't think there's anything I could draw that I'd want to play this turn. So we'll just crash in with Dryad Arbor, and then we'll cycle the Thicket on my opponent's turn. I think this is the big turn for my opponent where they probably need to do something, or I'm just threatening to take over this game with my 2-mana Planeswalker that isn't objectively doing all that much right now. Yeah, I'm going to let them have the Abrupt Decay, I guess, instead of cycling the Tranquil Thicket. Because then I can potentially keep something better. Like, let's not give my opponent options. I don't think I'm going to need double red ever, so let's get Bayou. Sylvan Library will find us something sweet, hopefully. The Mox Diamond's actually pretty tempting. I think that's going to be worth 4 life. I don't think I need a second cycling land, though. Robbot, thank you very much for your continued support. I actually don't believe you're up to 16 months now. How time flies. Hope life is treating you well. So, I think I'm fine with using a Mox Diamond, pitching a Swamp. I want to fetch so that I don't redraw the top card of my library. Point this here. We'll take our draw and see what we want to do. Sort of awkward in terms of timing and sequencing, but we still have the Mox Diamond. So let's return the Thicket. Cycle this. Okay. So beginning next turn, we can start in the Wasteland train. We can play Blast Zone, crack it on 1, destroy Pithing Needle, and start Wastelanding. So if my opponent can go real big here, they might be able to do quite a bit of damage. They could not. That does not bode well for them. Holy crap. Holy crap, okay. So Blast Zone plus 3 mana destroys their Pithing Needle. I can then sacrifice one of my lands to Wasteland. So 3 plus my land drop are spoken for. I'll have 3 mana remaining, so I can Liliana of the Veil as well. No, I can't double waste this turn because I need to play my Blast Zone to get rid of the Needle. So let's put Bob on top of deck, Wasteland on top of deck, play Blast Zone. We'll sacrifice Blast Zone. We'll float a mana with this one. We'll sacrifice this land. Get ourselves that Wasteland that we put on top. We'll use it to junk the Ancient Tomb. We'll plus Renin 6. Return a Wasteland. Play out a Liliana. Liliana plus. We'll just discard the Wasteland, since we can get it back with Renin 6 next turn, rather than get rid of our Swords to Plowshares that could answer a problematic creature that my opponent puts into play. And we should have things locked up from here. If my opponent just, like, spends their turn playing a Needle to shut off my Wastelands, I will just turn cards sideways and kill them. Like, I have 9 power in play. Cremando, thank you very much for following. I hope you're enjoying the Loam content today. Yeah, but they would need all his dust and like something like a Grim Monolith in order to get there, right? Let's put that on top. Let's put that on top. So let's go red and 6 plus, return Wasteland. Play Wasteland. Sacrifice this. Destroy that. Let's go. I guess let's Lily on a plus now. Discard that Wasteland again. Endbringer with some interesting art. So we activated both Planeswalkers. 18 more turns to go. I have not gotten either one of those cards to do their things yet. The Reclamation would have been crazy if I could have cast it in a previous game. And, what is it, Anje's Reclaimer would have been pretty good if the circumstances were just a touch different. Just going to survey my sideboard real quick, and I'm happy with what I have. Or, sorry, Anje's Ravager, not Reclaimer. Excuse me. This card can do like so many different cute things with Liliana of the Veil. They're like BFFs because you can plus Lily, discard this, and cast it. Or like if you have Lily on board and you're going Hellbent by using it, you just use this to refuel. So it seems like really cool synergy. It does feel very strange to me that I don't have a single life from the Loam in this deck list, though. You know, we call the deck 4-color Loam, and this still clearly is the same deck, but there's no Loam here. Red and 6 is just better. That's the world that we live in, folks. Oh, I'd still call it 4-color Loam. I still think that's the name of the deck, right? We have an awkward opener, but I don't think we can throw back anything that has a Wasteland. Oh, Violent a creature. I'll definitely play Blue Stompy again. Connor just shipped me this deck list, and I really wanted to play it. So this opener makes me feel like my opponent has like a Thought-Knots here that they're going to try to play on turn 2. Sorry, I see what you're saying now. Yeah. So there's some awkwardness here in that I'm going to need to choose whether or not I want to like Dryad Arbor this turn. But if I Dryad Arbor this turn, I need to make my choice about whether I want black or white as my secondary color. Actually, maybe I don't. I could just play it off of Grove and save that choice for a little bit later. It's just awkward if my opponent has another Spyglass effect and they nug this. I will go ahead and take that line, though. Yeah. Anje's Ravager is a card that I do want to play around with a little bit. I think that card's interesting. And it potentially can do cool things in Red Prison. Alright, so my opponent does have Candelabra. I was curious about that. No, I think I messed up on my turn. I think I was supposed to fetch the Bayou so that I could Abrupt Decay Sorcerer Spyglass on my turn and start wasting immediately. Ooh, are they going to Wasteland me? The game has changed a little bit. So I probably need to spend a turn using Abrupt Decay on that Chalice of the Void so that I can then Assassin's Trophy the Spyglass. I think I'm going to take a second and cycle this and get a little bit more information. I have a Sevinne. Okay. So we'll play out Verdant Catacombs and pass. Note, my opponent cannot Wasteland me due to their own Sorcerer Spyglass. Just need to say that because I misspoke a second ago. I still think I'm going to get basic Swamp, though. Because my black is so much more valuable than every single one of my other lands, and my opponent may end up Wastelanding me later. Once I get rid of their Sorcerer Spyglass. Oh, baby. Okay. So I'm just going to think for a moment and see if there's any reason why I should do this at X time versus Y time. No, we can do this now. No, we're not going to get rid of Key or Monolith. We're going to Wasteland everything that they know and love. The Monolith is tapped at this time, and it costs 4 to untap it. So, like, this is not in danger of producing anything that is relevant to the game state right now. I guess if I give them a life, it's the same as attacking with Dryad Arbor, so might as well not give them a life. So we have 4 damage a turn as a clock. We're in crazy good shape if we draw a black source for this Lily. LOL. This is a fair and balanced Magic card. Yeah, the Urborg would have allowed me to play the Lily, but the Ren and 6 is just, like, stupid better. Oops. The Urborg's gone now. I got rid of it. Yeah, whatever. We're done here. Like, even if opponent draws a Pithing Needle or Sorcerous Spyglass to stop either Ren and 6 or Wasteland, we're still gonna have the Lily to tear apart their hand afterwards. LOL at Blast Zone. So now we'll just start attacking their hand. Yeah, 4-color Loam's sweet. I love this deck. I don't know that it's necessarily better than a bunch of, like, the Oko piles that are running around. But the deck definitely has legs. So note, by not wastelanding my opponent's wasteland, I do give them the opportunity to top deck a land and untap a Grim Monolith. Nice. Okay. So let's go Wasteland, your Wasteland, while I have the opportunity to do so. Then we'll go ahead and plus. I will discard my Blast Zone. That's okay. You discard another Grim Monolith. I'll play a Planeswalker. Could just flip this immediately. If I flip it immediately, I can turn it into something that will let me get a knight. Don't know how much that matters. Put the Blast Zone in my hand rather than a Wasteland. I think I'm just going to make a wolf. So I have 3, 4, 5, 6, followed by 8. I can just kill my opponent in 2 turns with board. Opponent's best draw is maybe something like a Thought-Knot Seize, but that, or a Thought-Knot Seer, but that just eats it to Lily. I don't know. Yeah, friend. What do you want to shut off? Wasteland? No, there's not a creature in the graveyard yet. Another Wrenn and 6, huh? Well, that's pretty cool. All right. Let's play with our food. Let's get an emblem. So let's Assassin's Trophy the swamp. My opponent previously showed me that they didn't have another land. I prefaced it by saying I was gonna play with my food, right? Like we were real far ahead there. And the next turn we would have like played Wrenn and 6, just continue wasting them, or just start like plussing and then abrupt decaying every one of their permanents. We're so close to making that work. I think I'm gonna have to mulligan this one, unfortunately. This hand is fine. We'll keep this. I'm gonna pitch my Dryad Arbor. We're just gonna play Verdant Catacombs and pass, and we'll go for a turn 2 Knight of the Reliquary. Yeah, London Mulligan being able to throw back the damn Dryad Arbor that always jumps into your hand is pretty clutch. All right, so we're playing against some other potentially 3 to 4 color control deck. That's a fine draw. I'm pretty happy with that. We're actually going to have like normalized mana this game. That's cool. So we have played a 5/5 on turn 2. Super happy with that. If my opponent removes it, we're just going to get it right back. So all in all, happy with our position here. I don't... Okay, that's unfortunate. It going to exile is a little rough. We already have black because of Mox Diamond, though. All right, was not expecting Daze as the follow-up play. Okay, that's awkward. I guess I'm playing this Tranquil Thicket tapped so I can play this around Daze next turn, because that's apparently something that I need to do. I don't really like playing that land as an actual land. I think it's some sort of Stoneforge Blade deck. I don't get why you need Astrolabe in there, though. I guess they have red for, like, Magmatics and Cold. Stop that! Stop that! The fact that those are going to exile instead of my graveyard is so relevant right now. This Batterskull's a nuisance. Oh, we're just playing another deck that Oko gets shoved into. Cool. Running 6 is a little slow here. I can use Renin 6 plus Punishing Fire to kill the Astrolabe, which I guess is worth something. It's the opposite of value. But the Renin 6 may be one of the cards that we end up returning with the Reclamation a little bit later. So I guess that's fine. We'll cast this first so that we know that it resolves. And then we'll use the Renin 6 ping to finish it off. I think Oko is borderline not okay for Legacy as well. The card is very difficult to hate on. This is the deck list that I was given. I'm not going to play that Swamp. We're just going to hold that. Yeah, like the thing has 7 loyalty. It's creating another creature this turn. If I play anything that would beat it, such as like a Knight of the Reliquary or potentially a Bob, it just gets turned into an Elk. Yeah, that's something I agree with. If the Planeswalkers are going to be at the power level that they're at, we need stronger Planeswalker hate cards. Um, Oh, this game is over. I can't beat this Resolve Oko. Absolutely cannot. God damn it. God damn it. Alright. Alright. So I want this, probably this. Probably not that, but I'll think about it. Yeah, making the Germ a 3/3 is super cute. That's one that I haven't seen come up before. So I'll probably trim on my Elks. And my Elks. I don't like this thing that finds Elks all that much. And we'll potentially get rid of our Maze of Ith as well. It could be important for untapping our Knights or something like that, but we saw it being a little awkward in a previous game, so I think I'm going to get rid of it. So if I do this, this is 4 cards that I'm wanting to bring in. I don't have a lot of the things like Vindicate that I'm usually bringing in for these sorts of matchups. I don't know my opponent's exact deck list. I didn't see a lot of cantrips that game, but I assume that they're in there. My opponent has Daze, so they have some degree of counter magic. Are there Delvers in there too? Or, like, how far down the mid-range spectrum are they? Because if they're closer to the Delver side, I might want to consider my Swords to Plowshares. And if they're going to be closer to the control side, then it's this big stuff that's actually very good against them. I think I'm going to Swords to Plowshares. I think I'm going to awkwardly Swords to Plowshares alongside Chalice. I don't think Delver's in there. The Daze seems real weird. This is fine. Tibble, kind of what I'm feeling is I just shouldn't be playing this deck. I should just be playing something that has Oko in it. Let's make the mana worse, boys. Library is a great draw. So we're going to need to get 2 black-producing lands. So we'll do something like... Or no, we don't need to get 2 black-producing lands if the Wrenn and 6 resolves. We can do something like Taiga Bayou. And get 1 of our black-producing lands. I could also just get Scrubland this turn. And, like, hedge towards having the white for later on. Or no, Scrubland doesn't work. I need to cast Wrenn and 6, but... So, thinking about it a little bit more, if I would have gone more slowly with the Taiga, I could have gotten Badlands Bayou, and then guaranteed that I could cast Lily next turn, even if the Ren and 6 didn't resolve. Alright, we have 2 Planeswalkers in play. Good news for Phil fans. We're about to become the Monarch as well. We'll see if my opponent just, like, plays Oko anyway this turn and then somehow wins the game. Because I can't pressure the ridiculous loyalty of that Planeswalker effectively enough. True Name Nemesis is a fine draw from my opponent. That makes me becoming the Monarch slightly more awkward. Or does it, actually? If I just slam this card, and I become the Monarch, then my opponent needs to attack me and not my Liliana of the Veil. So my Plague Engineers are still in the sideboard, I think, so I don't have very many outs to that True Name Nemesis. So I'll be changing my sideboarding up a little bit for Game 3 now that I know that those are in there. Let's start with this. We don't need this Caracas. The only awkward thing is that if I play Marchesa, it plays into Daze, which my opponent couldn't cast previously. So it may just be better to play Library and Thicket this turn. But I like playing this out, though, because it may let my Lily live and give me an answer to this. So I have Death Touch and Haste. And if my opponent becomes the Monarch, I start getting a whole bunch of dudes. Boy, do I have lands. So I think my opponent needs to find a Stoneforge Mystic, attack me, become the Monarch, and then have something that can serve as fodder for the Lily. Okay, yep, they did exactly that. So now I need to find an answer to the Stoneforge Mystic. Oh no, they have attacked the Liliana. They are allowing me to remain the Monarch. Really want, like, basically literally anything to do with my mana here. 6 lands in hand is rough. Let's cycle through using Taiga, actually. Am I actually just double pinging Stoneforge Mystic here? Is that what is occurring? I think that's what's occurring. So now the next question is, do I just protect this with Caracas, or do I slam my Sylvan library? I think I'm supposed to slam the library. It walks into Daze, which I don't love, but we've already passed the Daze test last turn. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 lands to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spells. El Pariah, thank you very much for following. I hope you're enjoying the Loam content here. We're maximum punished by not playing around Swords to Plowshares. This really only matters because we're flooding out so hard. Good God, another one? What the fuck? I feel like Taxes is medium at best right now. Oko has been really obnoxious in that it invalidates a lot of our endgame lines. I was trying to pass with a bunch of mana open to make it look like we could decay that and try to prevent those counters from happening, but that's not where we're at. So I was getting the Dryad Arbor out of the deck just purely to put it in the graveyard. Alright. What am I supposed to do here? So the turn I see 3 gas cards is the turn right after my opponent invalidates what would have been 2 amazing cards. Alright. Alright. We're done. We're done. I feel like 90% of the time we win that game. But that was something ridiculous. I didn't count the ratio there, but that was something like 17 lands to 5 spells or something like that. Like we had cards off Monarch, we had cards off Sylvan Library, we had redraws off of Wrenn and 6 Cycling, and it was just mono lands. Salt, 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 salt. Didn't have the best league in terms of like the deck actually firing on all cylinders, and doing its thing. Wrenn and 6 felt great. This card was potentially very, very, very good. I definitely like having access to that card in the deck. We didn't get to flash it back for maximum value or anything like that, but I like having it. Really sad that I didn't get to ever use this effectively, because I think this card's cool and I want to explore it more. I'd probably be willing to run back this same deck list again. I don't think I'd play Containment Priest. I think I'd probably sub this for some other combo hate card other than Containment Priest. I'm just not too hot on that. Because it occasionally mucks with your, like, fetching Dryad Arbor or you using a Green Sun for Dryad Arbor. But I can understand wanting to play it. I'd run something like this back again, but ultimately the question I would ask about this deck is this better than the Oko piles that are running around? And I'm not sure that the answer is yes right now. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed this sort of midday stream from me now that I had a little holiday here. I'm going to turn you over to my friend Arkin, who is still streaming some Legacy. Arkin is currently 49-5 with Bug Oko Delver. That should kind of give you a feel about how busted that card is. I hope you all enjoyed today. If you do enjoy, please consider doing something to support the stream, whether that's donating, following, or just supporting something like Daily D&T as well. Thank you all very much. I hope you have a great rest of the day.